There's a new arts leader in Sarasota who's sure to push us into the 21st century with art and technology. Watch Sarasota Today, the arts.
From the Comcast Cable Television Studios in Sarasota, this is Sarasota Today, an in-depth forum highlighting today's issues, current events, and people that affect our lifestyle in Sarasota County. For Sarasota Arts Today, here's your host, Patricia Caswell.
Hi, I'm Patricia Caswell, here with Sarasota Today, the arts. And our guest today is Dr. Thomas Linehan, the new president of the Ringling School of Art and Design. Welcome, Dr. Linehan.
Thank you. Pleased to be here.
I bet you are, and we're pleased to have you. And let's just get started with art education. You are an art educator first and foremost, and I understand that you not only at the college level, but at many levels have been an art educator. Can you tell us where you've taught art?
Early in my career, I started by teaching some elementary art, so I've had a chance to teach second graders and fifth graders. I also had a chance for over several years to teach some middle school or junior high school students. And,
I recognize the gray hair. I have that too because, you know, I taught middle school music for a decade, so we have something in common.
That's right. Those of us who have done that, particularly in the arts, where the students are perhaps a little more active than they are in some of the traditional classrooms. Gray earlier. It's a common occurrence.
So you've taught, and you've taught at the college level too?
Right. I did have a chance to teach at Webster College in St. Louis, and then went on, did some graduate work, and taught on the faculty at both Ohio State University and Texas A&M University. And our standing joke is coming from large football schools has been whether or not Ringling would need to have a football team in order for me to feel comfortable here. But we're it's a definite no. We're not going to have a football team.
Well,
so,
thank you for clearing that up for us. Do you have a philosophy of arts education in general?
I do, in a sense that I see the study of art as one of the ways in which we come to know the past, the present, and potentially the future. That the artistic record of our ancestors is something that we need to, in a sense, decode in order to be able to understand who they were, what was important to them, what were their values. And without the systematic study of the art of previous cultures, I think we think that art is important exclusively to children in a kind of therapeutic way, that they engage in a studio experience, and somehow it has a kind of therapy, and that they do a lot of hand-eye coordination and early learning, and all of that is critical. But what is perhaps more critical is the cognitive basis for art. The fact that it's important to know and understand one's history, and easily a third or more of history is contained in the artistic record. We have the written record, and the architecture and artistic record really become the way in which we come to understand those who have come before us. And we all know that failure to understand those previous cultures, those earlier cultures, leads us to think that we're inventing everything, that we have come up with it for the first time. And so it's perhaps more important than ever that art education have a critical and central role within the schools.
And I'm happy that you're saying that, because
to address that.
This is particularly in Sarasota. The focus this past year of our education system has been on art and music education.
That's fantastic.
It's good to have you here, new vital energy, saying the same thing and joining the crowd in Sarasota.
Well, the exciting thing about Sarasota is that it is a great arts town, and what I can see in particular as the new president of Ringling School of Art and Design is how much this town cares about the arts and cares about art education. The entire campus is filled with that record of caring. There's an exquisite kind of set of buildings that make up the new Ringling campus, and that's the result of direct generosity from people in the Sarasota community, our very generous Board of Trustees, as well as others who have given to our various building and capital campaign programs.
I have just finished reading the history of the biography of John Ringling, and I was interested in reading a little bit about Chick Austin, who was the head of the museum, and I've seen that important heads of institutions and individuals have made impacts and changed the directions of our community.
Right.
Do you see in 20 years people looking back and reading about you? What do you hope, or what do you see maybe they'll read that your contribution was to our community, or, if you like, our Ringling School?
Right. I think even beginning to speak about that would be unfair without acknowledging the tremendous contribution of Dr. Chris Janer, and looking at what he's been able to do over the last 12 years makes almost any newcomer a pretender until such time as you're able to, in fact, do actual accomplishments. So
I have no doubt that Dr. Chris Janer has changed and will be in the history of Sarasota.
He has changed this school so much for the better, and has changed it on the national scene so that it's known to be a gem. This is one of the premier places to come to study art and design, and so the real challenge is to take the excellent staff that Dr. Chris Janer has been able to assemble here. This faculty is without parallel in each one of the respective fields. So to be able to work in a collaborative way with that team that's here assembled to make some real marked accomplishments. The school never wants to become so big that it's not known to be the best. We're going to
quality rather than quantity.
Grow, you know, at the speed where you can maintain the excellence. And so, with increased costs, with it costing more each year to do the same thing, what you have to do is make sure that each new progressive step is fully funded and planned for. So my expectation is that that Ringling is well positioned to make its mark nationally and internationally, and we intend to do that.
I think that actually is kind of a modest answer. I think in 20 years we may read more, but you've just started. You've been here less than a month right now.
So far, what I've done is organize the paper clips, and they are well organized on my desk. So.
Well, that is a good start, and I'm sure they're designed very nicely.
They are.
We've talked about your education background, but you also have a background in business or in research, and I want to know what you did at the
Houston Advanced Research Center.
Advanced Research Center.
The Houston Advanced Research Center is a not-for-profit research group that was organized originally by the four premier research research universities in Texas. And originally its purpose was to collaborate to bring together the Super Collider and to get it located in Texas. And we were very successful in doing that. I was not directly involved, but HARC was successful in accomplishing that. The large-scale science projects is typically what the Houston Advanced Research Center takes on. It now has the collaboration of 11 different universities, each of whom are working on various projects. I led a group there that was doing research in digital image compression. Basically, how do you take these huge digital files that represent pictures or movies and compress the data in such a way that you can use standard or existing communication lines to send movies or pictures across. Yes, we were very successful at doing so, achieved a lot of national attention. More than perhaps 1,000 companies did direct inquiries, and we were able to in a sense, qualify the technology with a large number of communications companies. And you will, in fact, be seeing that software come out over the next several months here, and it will be distributed by companies independently. So, but that
so you have a good grounding.
Has been a wonderful opportunity. It's also allowed me over the last 2 years to in a sense, peek inside of the companies that are, all of whom are focusing on advanced communications using digital data. And so the chance to look inside of a Xerox, a Motorola, a Polaroid, a Kodak, and in some cases large production houses and so on, has made me understand that this is perhaps one of the most creative times for American business, and for international business.
It gives you a good peek at what our Ringling students are going to need upon graduation.
Gives me a sense of how to align what it is that we're doing on the education side of things, so that we can directly support.
You're not in your academic ivory tower. You've been down in the field.
Not at all. There is no ivory tower stuff here at all. And in fact, there's never been any ivory tower at Ringling. There's only been quality at Ringling. And that's been something that both the academic institutions and the corporations have recognized. Now, it's my job to make sure that we maintain that kind of energy here. But the 2-year look inside of these companies tells me that Ringling is doing everything absolutely right.
That's wonderful. You also, well, I think we have to take a break real soon here, but in just a little while I'm going to ask you about your endeavors in architecture.
Okay.
You're viewing Sarasota Today.
It only comes once a year. Anyone who plays tennis can't miss it. The excitement, the grandeur, the savings.
Savings at the U.S. Open?
No, at Total Tennis's annual U.S. Open sale. Everything in the store is sale price from 10 to 70% off. And don't miss the return of Total Tennis's world-famous $10 racket.
With 70% off, this guy's got Agassi beat in straight sets.
Total Tennis of Siesta Key, 240 Avenue de Madera in Siesta Key Village.
Hi, I'm Sheila Dorris. At Drapes and Shutters, we insist on doing things right, especially when it comes to high-quality, affordable, custom-design window treatments and cabinet work. So, we do it ourselves. Here at our showroom and manufacturing plant, we don't compromise on quality, and we don't subcontract. Your design consultants, fabricators, craftsmen, and installation technicians are all part of our Drapes and Shutters family. And we think that difference stands for high quality from start to finish.
Only you
Can prevent forest fire.
And it's true. We know we can count on you to do what Rocky says.
Drown your campfires with water. Make sure it's totally wet. Then stir and drown again.
We know we can count on you to do what Rocky says.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
We're back with Dr. Thomas Linehan, the new president of the Ringling School of Art and Design. And I was just asking you about your foray into architecture.
When I joined Texas A&M University, it was to build a new program in computer graphics and computer animation. And that program was built inside of the College of Architecture at Texas A&M. And while I was there, I was able to run a number of corporate training programs as well. And one of those corporate training programs, involving as many as 60 architects, was run for CRSS Architects of Houston. And CRSS is a large worldwide architecture design firm. It since has been sold, and much of it is many of the architects are with HOK Architects today. But the larger point here is that there was a very positive relationship between the academic program and a crying need, in a sense, for training inside of a corporation. And so my work with CRSS Architects then began to be a process of working internal to the company to make sure that all of that training was in fact happening worldwide for that company. So in a sense, that kind of attention is a model for the kind of attention that I would like for the programs at Ringling to pay to corporate need and emerging corporate need. In those cases where there can be some mutual benefit, a benefit to the school, obviously, and a benefit to the corporation, we're going to pay very, very careful attention to ways in which the way in which our curriculum is organized, or even specially designed seminars and programs in the summer or in off-peak for corporations.
I see.
And so that's one of the things that we're going to be focusing on.
I think the Committee of 100 would love you to bring a lot of corporate heads and corporate management here to see our beautiful city.
We think they'll be here because what we're creating is a large talent pool. This talent pool of graduates from Ringling, all of whom have been trained on state-of-the-art equipment, all of whom, in a sense, have been trained on the same kind of equipment that they're likely to walk into and find inside their corporations, or perhaps more advanced than they find in their corporations. So a lot of times schools have struggled to keep up in terms of providing the kind of equipment that industry is using. And Ringling will, of course, have to struggle to finance that kind of program, but it's something that we're committed to. So the first thing that our graduates don't have to do is relearn on the latest equipment.
Right.
They, in fact, can teach.
They can go in and teach, right?
Right.
Why did you choose Ringling? What is it that... It's your new frontier, and you have obviously experienced many frontiers, and what brought you to Ringling?
I was faced with many options where I could consider any number of different things. Ringling is not new to me in the sense that I've had a chance to provide some consulting on the computer animation program and on the interior design program here since 1983.
You came to address the graduating class.
Right. 3 years ago, I delivered the commencement address at Ringling, and one of the key messages there was how the artist and the designer, in fact, has more expertise than ever today as they enter the workplace. That the workplace, in a sense, is catching up with a lot of the skills that artists and designers have been training for over the years. So
Ringling, you came to Ringling because you had been here, liked what you saw?
Had a chance to see the school in progress. What I saw was a board of trustees and an administration that was clearly committed to the values that I believed in, and the values that I believed were going to carefully serve art and the design professions well by helping them renew themselves and stay current and make sure that the artist and designer continued to be a player in the building process for society, both in the world of work and in the world of the designed environment. So this was a school that meant business, and it was serious and had made the commitment, and in a sense asked me if I had interest in joining with that commitment, and I'm delighted to have done so.
I feel like I understand now how you see Ringling interfacing with the world of business and the world at large. How do you see Ringling interfacing with Sarasota, the community?
Well, Sarasota, Ringling is going to have a slogan as long as I'm here, and that slogan is going to be Sarasota First.
I like it.
And the Sarasota First slogan is simply to acknowledge the wonderful support and contribution that the school has received from this community over the years. And what we're going to do is to try and help the city and the local community leverage from gains that the school intends to make. So if there's some early access to take a look at and interview talent, we want to provide that to the local community and to employers within the local community. We hope to be a real resource where there's very, very talented interns, where the companies inside of the Sarasota County area and the Bradenton, Manatee County area, that they, in a sense, have a special access to the resources that we're trying to build here for the school. I think that that the Sarasota First notion is simply our trying to repay a wonderful gift. Yeah.
It's a great way to put it. And we'll be back in a moment to hear more about Dr. Linehan and the Ringling School.
Sarasota Today will be right back after these messages.
Art! Dogs don't say art, they say ARF. A-R-F. ARF. Your pirouette needs work.
Support the arts in Sarasota County.
Art!
Hello, I'm John Merce, owner of Rugs as Art. I would like to express my gratitude to our valued customers who have helped Rugs as Art become the success that it is today. For those of you who have not visited Rugs as Art, I invite you to come and see why it was nominated for the National Area Rug Retailer of the Year Award. Rugs as Art is considered by many to be the largest and most unique rug store on the west coast of Florida. Visit today, Rugs as Art, Sarasota's Area Rug Superstore.
In America, you are not required to offer food to the hungry or shelter to the homeless. There is no ordinance forcing you to visit the lonely. In fact, nowhere in the Constitution does it say you have to provide anything for anybody. Thank you for all you've given. Imagine what more could do.
We're back with Sarasota Today and Dr. Tom Linehan, who is the new president of Ringling School of Art and Design. And we were talking about Ringling's new relationship or ongoing relationship with the community of scholars, the community of business, and the community at large. Do you want to finish up on that thought?
Well, maybe just a word about the relationships. It's always a give and take, and in a sense it's a combination of lead and follow. There are times when I think that the school and the professional community that we've been able to assemble will be able to provide leadership to a variety of differing communities. And there are times when clearly what we have to do is listen and follow. So I think it's that understanding that it's a cooperative enterprise is really, really critical. And it also makes you a good player, I think, in terms of collective efforts inside the respective communities. You don't go in as the expert, you go in listening. And I'm fond of saying that no one has ever listened their way out of a job.
That's exactly our philosophy at the Arts Council, listen.
Right.
I cannot peg you, Dr. Linehan. I don't know if you are a technologist, a scientist, an administrator, an artist, or an educator. So if you had to choose only one, which would you be?
My professional training, I'm trained professionally as an artist and have done a tremendous amount of studio activity. However, my academic training and my higher degrees are in the field of art education. And that really is the systematic study of the teaching of art and how people come to understand and know about art and value it. So I describe myself as an art educator. My special area of interest has always been technology. How can technology further the values of art, not the other way around? So I'm always looking for ways in which we might use technology either to turn up the volume on the message that the artist is trying to present, to let it reach further, or in some way to extend the artist's reach so that what they can do is either larger in scale, more powerful, more complex. And I'm very, very interested in seeing what happens if artists have access to the same tools that scientists and engineers have on a regular basis. So we never question it when scientists have access to the most sophisticated supercomputers, but we're entering a stage where I think artists can clearly invent new forms if they have access to the same kinds of tools that the scientists and the engineers have. So.
And Dr. Christianer told me too that he believes that art is going to become even more important in this next century because of technology, not in spite of it.
Well, the one thing that we've seen is that no matter how complex or sophisticated that we think we are as a society, much of it boils down to values. And if art is about anything, it's about exposing and uncovering human values, and doing so with great drama, with great flair, and with great power. So, in a sense, my notion of turning up the volume of an artist's message is really what traditional theater has done in the past, and so on. Oftentimes what we need to do in order to make people attend to a particular point is to turn up the volume slightly.
Technologically turning it up.
Right.
I also know personally that you were a single father for some time, and I have a friend who did an interview, and she thought her best qualification was that she was a single mother, because if you can do that, you can do about anything.
Right. That's right. Running a college is nothing compared to to raising a child and bringing them up through their high school years. And my son Peter, who now is 26 and would be embarrassed that I was telling stories about his earlier years, was a football player. He was the best friend to as many, many kids as he could possibly find, and was also the provider for many dogs and cats.
Oh,
and so the experience, I'm well trained as a president in terms of I like to describe my life today as being pet-free, but
that's great.
But it's only because I've performed my share of my great duties to the world of animals earlier in life. So.
Well, we've talked about the large, broad brush picture of Ringling School of Art in the future. What about right now? What's happening with Ringling right now?
I think there's a kind of nervousness whenever there's a transition in leadership. There's a little bit of nervousness, but I think everyone sees it as an opportunity, and also an opportunity where we come to know and make explicit what it is that we're going to stand for in the future.
I think we're almost out of time. I'd like to delve into that more, but we'll have to have you back.
Good. Thank you. I'd love to.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Appreciate it.
And welcome to Sarasota.
Thanks.
If you have any comments, questions, or program ideas concerning Sarasota Today, please write to Sarasota Today in care of Comcast Cable, 5205 Fruitville Road, Sarasota, Florida, 34232.
When your vacuum cleaner is in critical condition, there's only one person to call, the vacuum doctor.
It looks terminal. We caught it just in time. It needed a new power switch.
At the Vacuum Doctor, you'll find the latest Eureka, Sharp, Sanyo, and Panasonic vacuum cleaners, a big selection of used and rebuilt vacuum cleaners, and a full line of parts for all makes and models. The Vacuum Doctor, 2232 Gulf Gate Drive, Sarasota.
We take trade-ins and we make house calls.
Last year's record-breaking heat lasted through summer till the end of fall. Those long, hot summer days are upon us once again, and forecasters are predicting another year of record-breaking heat. Install an Amana air conditioner now and get no payments and no interest for 12 full months and the best warranty in the industry. 10 years parts and labor. Amana Air Conditioning. Call Anderson Air Conditioning. We go the extra mile every day of the year. Anderson Air Conditioning.